I will say that the Bernie Sanders people
You guys are crazy!
You're an animal! Get a job!
The clip opens with pure chaos echoing through the House chamber. Voices clashing, tempers flaring, and decorum gone. Rashida Tlaib erupts in anger, shouting over others and refusing to yield the floor. Her frustration spills out as she denounces what she calls a fascist takeover, insisting her outrage is righteous. The moment feels less like a congressional debate and more like a live confrontation. It's the kind of tension that captures why so many Americans see politics as performance rather than policy. Tlaib's tone escalates as she accuses Republicans of defaming Washington, D.C., while ignoring its beautiful sides. Her words come out rapid and emotional, but the content quickly turns confrontational. She refuses to take questions, cutting off others mid-sentence, determined to keep control of the floor. The early moments set the tone for what's to come, a storm of emotion, accusation, and defiance that will soon collide with cold, direct pushback.
It's really important. We need to stand up against this fascist takeover. That's not a bad word. It's a fact. And here in D.C. and across the country, it is so incredibly important, Mr. Chair, that this committee does not allow rhetoric that defames and or paints Washington, D.C. in a way that you all haven't really truly seen. You're just reading it. No, you're just reading it or something off of some.
Will the gentlelady yield to a question?
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Will the gentlelady yield?
No, I don't yield. I don't even have time. I can tell you.
Your time's expired.
It is expired, but Mr. Chair.
As Tlaib continues, her refusal to yield sparks immediate tension in the room. Byron Donalds and other members try to interject, but she cuts them off repeatedly, saying, "I don't yield. I don't have time." The committee chair attempts to regain order, but her voice drowns out the gavel. The atmosphere becomes chaotic, like watching professionalism crumble in real time. Even as her time expires, Tlaib presses on, unable or unwilling to stop. This refusal becomes symbolic of a deeper political divide. Rather than debate ideas, both sides now fight for control of the microphone. What began as a policy hearing has turned into a shouting match fueled by frustration and pride. It's an all-too-familiar image in modern politics. Passion without patience, outrage without restraint. The audience can almost feel the tension tightening with every second she refuses to step back.
But you all live here, and you're not telling people the beautiful parts that you do see in our nation's capital. And no, it's just wrong how we're doing it.
Chairman, I think it's insane that the gentlelady doesn't have an argument, but she's going to refer to me and some of my colleagues.
Mr. Donald,
we were from the Third Reich. This is insane.
You're going to look at 14, 15-year-olds as a bunch of criminals?
It's insane. Do I look like a member of the Third Reich to you, Ms. Tlaib? Is that what I look like to you?
You're the one taking your voting card.
Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Is that what you think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say. But to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Regular order.
That's okay. But it's okay, right?
That is not how it goes.
It's okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold
Washington,
myself accountable. Hold your own self accountable. How about that? Hold your own self accountable. How about that?
Then comes the turning point. Congressman Byron Donalds takes the floor, calm, but visibly frustrated by what he's just witnessed. He challenges Tlaib's comparison of Republicans to the Third Reich, calling it way out of line. His voice is steady, but his words cut sharply. "Do I look like a member of the Third Reich to you?" he demands, confronting the accusation head-on. It's a moment of clarity amid chaos, a stark reminder that outrage has limits. Donald's firm but measured tone contrasts sharply with Tlaib's emotional approach. His message is simple. Accountability must apply to everyone, including those who shout the loudest. The tension between the two lawmakers highlights a larger truth about modern politics. Righteous anger without evidence quickly turns self-destructive. Donald doesn't raise his voice. Instead, he reclaims control through composure, turning her meltdown into a lesson in restraint and discipline.
Free DC, and make sure you vote with your own voting card. Don't be giving it to somebody else.
Tlaib. All right, time. Chair recognizes Ms. Boebert from Colorado. Wait a minute, Ms. Boebert.
The Washington Post poll of D.C. residents found 8 out of 8 in 10 opposed Trump's taking over of their local police and sending in federal troops.
Without objection to ordered.
You know, I think it's also really important to understand, like, the incredible kind of slanderous, like, defamation. I don't know what to call it. They're just burying Washington, D.C. You just heard them speak about our nation's capital in that way, in a way that I feel very much like that's not what I see. I see people walking around with their families, people enjoying time to see these beautiful, incredible, beautiful monuments and everything. And there's a pride here too. And so I just want to bring the DC residents into this committee because I feel like they are being made invisible. And this really ugly picture that is not reflective. And I'm from Detroit. I've seen it happen to my city. And it's despicable in a way that I feel like, really goes up against our values. You know, one of the things that I know in every abuse of power that, we let President Trump and the administration get away with in D.C., it will be replicated. It will be expanded across the country, and it is going to tear.
Even after Donald's rebuke, the hearing descends further into disorder. Tlaib insists she's being silenced, shouting over colleagues, and arguing with the chair. What should have been a discussion about D.C. policy becomes a spectacle of shouting and interruptions. Her words blur between genuine conviction and emotional overdrive. The audience and fellow members watch as the hearing spirals into political theater, passionate, loud, but completely unproductive. Meanwhile, her attempt to defend D.C. paints an oddly unrealistic picture. She talks about families walking near monuments and a beautiful, proud city, ignoring the harsh realities of rising crime, homelessness, and economic decline. The contrast between her description and reality becomes impossible to miss. Her argument, intended as defense, begins to sound detached from the issues her own constituents face daily. That disconnect fuels the growing frustration in the room.
Tear apart our communities. You know, Mr. Jackson, I talked to you about a little bit about this, but I think it's important to understand that we do have a mental health crisis, that we have a housing crisis, affordability crisis. Can you police any of those away?
No.
You can't police away homelessness. And the way they talk about our homeless neighbors is so, no wonder there's violence increasing towards homeless neighbors. I see it already, the brutality of it. When we see housing costs go up, when we see, again, the lack or dismissiveness of the mental health crisis that we continue to grow. And it's not just this administration, and the previous administrations as well. No one has moved with the urgency that is needed. Just last week, the committee approved over a dozen bills regarding Washington, D.C. And, I'm just curious. Criminalize children. My colleague from Boston talked about this. It basically interfered with legislation already passed by the local government. Was anyone on this panel consulted? Any of you? Raise your hand if you were consulted on any of these bills. Yeah.
We were not.
One of the things that, AG, I've been listening to you. One of the bills actually eliminates your position completely. What effect would that have? Completely eliminating your position in regards to be able to do the job that you do to protecting all the families in Washington, D.C.
We'll start with the fact that more than 70% of the residents of the District of Columbia overwhelmingly voted for having an independent elected attorney general.
That's right.
And that's a recognition of the fact that when an attorney general is directly accountable to the people, directly responsive to the people, we are much better at doing our job in terms of addressing housing affordability and conditions in slumlords, seniors and consumers who are being scammed, addressing the issues that are most important to D.C. residents because I am accountable to them.
I read wage theft is an issue, workplace discrimination. There's a number of issues that need to be addressed, and they're not going to address that. They want to paint you all as this ugly, dark, all just out in the street. The way.
As the exchange continues, Tlaib blames Donald Trump and Republicans for what she calls a fascist takeover. expanding her outrage far beyond the hearing's topic. Her speech veers into every national grievance: mental health, housing, affordability, without offering solutions. She turns from policy to protest, repeating slogans rather than addressing questions. The hearing now resembles a rally more than legislation in action. Her passion is real, but her control is gone. Donald and others sit in visible disbelief as she continues to talk over the chair, making herself the story instead of the issue. What's left is noise, chaotic, emotional, and aimless. When Donald finally gets a chance to speak again, he doesn't match her anger. Instead, he dismantles her argument by calmly reminding everyone that leadership means accountability. His quiet composure exposes how emotion without discipline can destroy credibility in seconds.
It's just unbelievable because they all live here. I don't see it. I don't see what they see. I don't understand why we're allowing that to happen, because I actually think it's going to hurt our communities. People are going to look at Washington, D.C. folks in a way that I think is going to be very painful, but also, you know, I don't know, Mr. Jackson, I heard the stories. People didn't leave their homes. They weren't leaving their homes. Businesses didn't see people coming into, I mean, that's what we want in our nation's capital. Stay in your house, don't move, don't go anywhere, stay fearful. It's unbelievable that my colleagues continue again to eject this narrative and this rhetoric in regards to it. But I think it's important, Mr. Chair, just like in D.C., home rule was one out of Black freedom struggle in the fight for civil rights, we can't be passive right now. So nobody over there should take anything we say like so personally, as if we're attacking them. No, we're attacking a process, not attacking people here.
By the time Byron Donald speaks again, the hearing feels like it's spinning out of control. Tlaib's accusations have grown more personal, even reckless, invoking fascism, oppression, and moral superiority. Donald doesn't take the bait. Instead, he draws a clear line, telling her firmly, "Hold yourself accountable before lecturing anyone else." The calm precision of his tone lands harder than any shouted insult. It's not just a rebuttal, it's a reset. The entire room seems to pause as reason briefly returns to the floor. Donald's composure turns the moment into a case study in leadership. He doesn't need volume to command attention. Truth does it for him. While Tlaib continues to talk over the chair, Donald embodies the discipline the setting demands. His intervention exposes the deeper issue. Washington isn't suffering from a lack of passion. It's suffering from a lack of restraint. This contrast between chaos and composure becomes the heart of the clip's message. The narrator sums it up perfectly. This wasn't really about DC crime or Trump. It was about a style of politics built on outrage, sound bites, and victimhood. Tlaib's meltdown shows how performance politics overshadows progress. Every shout, every insult, every refusal to yield only distances Americans further from honest debate. Byron Donald's calmness, by comparison, reminds us what grown-up politics is supposed to look like. Reason before rage, solutions before slogans. His quiet authority dismantled her fury without ever needing to shout her down. In the closing moments, the host drives home a larger warning. That democracy cannot survive on drama. When elected officials trade facts for emotion, truth becomes the casualty. The video ends with a call to action. Demand accountability, demand honesty, and reward leadership that stands firm under pressure. Byron Donald didn't just win an argument. He modeled a standard of conduct that's rapidly vanishing from modern politics. The final shot leaves viewers with clarity amid the noise. Proof that real strength speaks softly, but stands unshaken.